The trolling apparently is continuing to happen, and conservatives and MAGA folks continue to pull their hair out over it. And they can't get the one point that Gavin Newsom's team continues to make every time they troll and mock and mimic this president and his foolishness.
If he is to invest in crime suppression, I hope the President of the United States would look at the facts. Just consider Speaker Johnson's state and district. Just look at the murder rate that's nearly 4 times higher than California's in Louisiana. This is Speaker Johnson, 4x higher. I'm just offering, again, you've not seen this on Fox News, so President may not be familiar with these facts. So I want to present some facts to the President of the United States, and imagine this is alarming to the President to learn these facts. Mississippi leads the nation as the #1 murder state in America. Imagine this in particular may resonate with the President of the United States. It's got a murder rate, it's 180%. 180% higher than Los Angeles. It's interesting. LA has more people. These are all per capita numbers. More people than Los Angeles. Perhaps the president could deploy the National Guard in every corner of Mississippi. And the fact remains, if the president is sincere about the issue of crime and violence, there's no question in my mind that he'll likely be sending the troops into Louisiana and Mississippi to address the unconscionable wave of violence that continues to plague those states.
Donald Trump doesn't like to be mocked. Donald Trump doesn't like his stupidity to be put on display by other folks. He always wants revenge for that stuff. Therefore, MAGA and the rest of his sycophants and all these folks within this party and his administration feel the exact same way. And they can't get by the fact that every time Gavin Newsom mocks him, as he mocked him with that fake cabinet style meeting with folks standing behind him, as he pointed out all of the crime that goes on in red states, in red controlled cities, they can't get beyond the fact that he's making fun of them on top of actually giving some facts. It's twofold. It's weird how they don't get that part. He even had like a post about how all the folks are in the media room and everyone's your favorite governor is having another press conference. But you know what it does do? This is the part that I do like. It makes the people that he call out, it makes them have to respond in ways that they never felt they had to respond before.
He name-dropped you personally yesterday, essentially trying to say that crime is worse in Louisiana than it is in California. Take a listen. We'll get your thoughts.
If he is to invest in crime suppression, I hope the President of the United States would look at the facts. Just consider Speaker Johnson's state and district. Just look at the murder rate that's nearly 4 times higher than California's in Louisiana.
Have at it.
Again, Gavin Newsom will do anything for attention. He can name drop me all that he wants. He needs to go and govern his state and not be engaging in all of this. Look, we have crime in cities all across America, and we're against that everywhere, and we need to bring policies to bear. My hometown of Shreveport has done a great job of reducing crime gradually, but we've got to address it everywhere that it rears its ugly head. And I think every major city in the country, the residents of those cities, are open to that and anxious to have it. And we're the policy, we're the party that's going to bring that forward. I look forward to that.
He has to now answer on Fox News why crime in his state and some cities are as high as they are when they never have to do that before. You see how that works? Gavin Newsom has these mocking press conferences, and they get so mad about it. Even the anchors and the producer on Fox News go, we have to talk about this because he can't be offending our president. That's our king. And so they even ask this guy, Mike Johnson, who, by the way, did you hear him mention that the National Guard and the armed troops have to then go into his state? Did you hear him say that part? I think people might start noticing that even though he has to admit that there's a crime-ridden state and crime-ridden cities in the place that he represents sometimes, that then they don't want boots on the ground. And people maybe start to see the hypocrisy surrounding these folks. To higher up and big named MAGA Republicans, they end up saying stupid shit because J.D. Vance put his face in front of the camera and man, he stepped in it.
Gavin Newsom sure thinks he's a comedian these days on social media, and so does much of the left. His polling numbers have gone way up since he started mimicking President Trump on social media.
Yeah.
What do you make of Governor Newsom?
I make of Governor Newsom that you said he's mimicking Donald Trump, and I think that's exactly right. The lesson of Donald Trump, the lesson of President Trump in American politics is you've got to be authentic to yourself. And when I see Gavin Newsom trying to act like Donald Trump, that's the opposite of authenticity. He's not trying to be Gavin Newsom, whoever that is. He's trying to be a fake carbon copy of Donald Trump, and it just doesn't work. You can't mimic the king. You can't mimic the master. You ought to just go and be yourself.
Whoops. Did you hear him? Did you hear him? You can't mimic the king. You can't mimic the master. What a weak bastard. You sorry sumbitch. You're going to sit in front of a camera and go, he's my king. You can't mimic him. You can't mimic my master. Does that sound American to you? Or does that sound like a subservient lowlife who won't do anything but get puppeted around by Donald Trump? This guy's Pinocchio, and Donald Trump's grubby ass fingers are controlling his ass every time. If you look closely, you might see the strings. And in the past few days, from this guy that JD Vance just called his king, he's been talking about how he wants to be a dictator too. And we're not supposed to take that seriously. Again, Fox News viewers might see him say that and go, wait a second. Donald Trump keeps talking about dictatorships. The vice president of the United States just called him a king and a master. Ew. Maybe we should start taking him seriously. You know what else it did to JD Vance was that shooting up in Minnesota a few days ago. Republicans always talk about thoughts and prayers. So now JD Vance is talking about that shooting, and then he has to fight back with some of the pressure that they're getting that we always give them, and they write us off as a bunch of libs that actually care about the lives of children, when all they offer usually are thoughts and prayers. Now he has to explain himself, and that doesn't go well either.
When I see far-left politicians say, how dare you offer thoughts and prayers? You need action. I don't care about your prayers. I care about what you're going to do to prevent this from happening. Why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't you pray for the speedy recovery of these kids who literally just got shot yesterday, while at the same time committing to making sure this doesn't happen again, or that it happens as infrequently as possible? I don't think there's anything inconsistent about saying a prayer to God for these innocent, beautiful kids, while also thinking constructively about how we're going to prevent this from happening the next time. You can do both of those things. You can hold a thought, both of those thoughts in your head at the same time. And Will, if you are a politician or you're a media commentator and two beautiful babies just got murdered while praying, and your politics force you to contemn prayer in response to it, you ought to get new politics, because something very wrong has gone on inside your soul.
He thought that was a good line. If you have to contend with prayers and actions, you might want to get some new politics, which may make people start asking, wait, we always hear about them praying, which I can't guarantee it, but I'd bet that they don't do it all. We see them praying, but we still haven't seen any of those actions. And maybe there might be this light that shines in people's heads, and they go, wait a second, wait. They're always praying, but this keeps happening. Maybe they're not doing anything about it. Actions versus just thoughts and prayers, which of course that same Gavin Newsom press account then highlighted this guy's hypocrisy and said, why not both? And because of this increased attention on these satirical tweets and trolling of the president, more people are looking at that and will like, you're right. It's the same thing that these radical, crazy leftists have been saying for decades. Maybe do something about it. Maybe get to the root of the problem. They never wanted to get to the root of the problem because the NRA pays them to continue to flood our streets with more guns, because that's supposed to be the safety measure that we take as our children are praying in schools and get shot in the back. Here's Tommy Lauren being very frustrated, and she had to get schooled on it again by Dan Coe.
What do you think of Gavin Newsom? Do you think he's going to be your nominee in 2028?
I have no idea if he's going to be our nominee in 2028. I do know that he is exposing Donald Trump's playbook by using it against him, and I think it's pretty fun to see the MAGA meltdown over it.
You think so, though? Like,
Yes.
You think it's working?
I see endless people, candidly including you, responding directly to all of this stuff. I see people on Fox News saying that he should put down his Twitter account, that leaders should not be doing this. You could just find and replace Gavin Newsom and put in Donald Trump, and it would be the same thing, which is exactly what Gavin Newsom is doing. He is exposing Donald Trump's playbook, and I'm here for it.
Okay.
That's all they can ever think about. Is he going to run for president? Is he going to run for president? Is he going to? Is he doing this to run for president? Is he trying to be like a left Donald Trump? They can't detach themselves from the obsession with kissing this guy's ass. So it's, how dare he try to be like my king? Dan Coach has told you for the 18th time. He told you again. He's exposing his comical nature. And if you ask yourself why anybody would listen to someone speak and tweet this way, there's a slight chance you might go, why do I sit and listen to someone who speaks and tweets this way? Boom! It might explode in your brain, or maybe your brain will just explode. But again, what it does give is for when there are those moments when Gavin Newsom is being serious, like he is at this event, to speak about what it is that we're seeing, and more people are actually paying attention.
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
Don't give me. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house? So this is serious, guys. This is serious.
So it'll be Newsom Trump in 28.
No. This guy doesn't believe in free, fair elections. He tried to wreck this country. Were you there, January 6th? I mean, he tried to light democracy on fire. He dialed for 11, almost 12,000 votes. Now he's doing it in plain sight. And people said, oh, just Trump being Trump. You will lose your country. Again, it's not about Democrats. It's about all of us.
So you're absolutely convinced he's...
I'm absolutely convinced.
2028.
You've seen it. He tried to steal the last election. He's trying to rig it in plain sight. I'm on the other side of giving a damn about people's feelings about this moment. I will express myself more clearly and more concisely because I see the threats in very vivid terms in ways I never saw before. And I see the consequences of not just those threats from the administration, but the actions of this administration, more perhaps than any other governor in the United States, because I've seen the damage firsthand to communities, this economy, our reputation, to our allies, the world we're trying to build. This is simply the most destructive and damaging individual in my lifetime that happens to be the President of the United States. I have to meet this moment. And so, yeah, this has been very clarifying. It's been very sobering.
So while we're all obsessed about the next presidential race in 2028, he'll go off of that same talk, because I hate when people talk about that. How about what we're doing right now? Is Gavin Newsom going to run for president? I don't care. Honestly, right now, I don't care. Because if he does run in 2028, if we get that opportunity, because he's dismantling the country right now, Donald Trump is destroying things, we may not get that opportunity. I'm not concerned about Gavin Newsom and whether or not I'm supporting him for president 3-4 years from now, man. It's crazy that we're even on that. But again, they can't get their minds off of that because they're worried about this power that they now feel their white supremacist in the White House finally has, and they're worried about it being shaken up a little bit. But you see how he then, now that people are paying attention, went through all the destructive things this guy's always done? He's made people think that January 6th was a celebration. He's made people think that his horrific policies and economic policies are actually doing them some good and that they're not paying for all this money that he's bragging about. He thinks that he's made people stop realizing he's got military in the streets pointing guns at regular citizens and telling them to go home and you can't leave anymore because now crime is down. You have to highlight these things after people finally pay attention to your jokey, stupid, satirical tweets, because we've degraded that far in intelligence in this country. Clay Travis runs Outkick. Outkick is that podcast network that Tommy Lauren was on that just apparently can't get what's going on. And Clay is apparently the head of it. And after hearing Gavin Newsom talk about how Donald Trump doesn't want to leave office, which, by the way, I don't really care because I think he's going to be dead before then. But the reason that he's on that, he has to then push back the only way that Clay Travis really can. And again, it shows the comical short-sightedness in these people's brains.
Gavin Newsom, I will bet you $10 million, my own money. I will push it into the center of the table. You put up $10 million on the other side, I am telling you we're going to have an election in 2028. But you say we are not. So put your money where your mouth is, Gavin. I'll even let you use rich donor dollars since I'm not sure you have $10 million yourself. My money's in the table. Match it. Put up or shut up, Gavin. You are lying about this. And when you keep saying, oh, we're not going to have elections, Donald Trump is a dictator, you actually create situations like the attempted assassinations of Donald Trump, because certainly in the case of the second assassin, he was directly acting because he thought Trump was a dictator, because he thought Trump was Hitler, and he believed he needed to remove him from the national stage. That is a direct consequence of arguments like the one you made, which is somehow predicated on the fact that Trump is selling Trump 2028 hats. You moron.
Oddly, he thinks it's only based off of him selling Trump 2028 hats. When if you listen to everything else that dude was saying, it was about his constant onslaught, his desire to dismantle our election systems, his busted call during the 2020 election when he said, I just need 11,437 more votes. He's got a multitude, a litany of things. He directed an attempted coup on the country, told them to go and kill his vice president. It's weird how Clay Travis ignored all the rest of that authoritarianism and is ignoring the current authoritarianism that's happening right now as he's trying to dismantle our election systems even before 2026, because he knows no one likes him. He knows everyone's tired of his policies that are destroying people's lives. But Clay Travis thinks, I'm going to put $10 million down and now people are going to listen to me. It's the superficial stupidity of everybody that supports this guy is just getting shown on full display.